This is LXBN TV, and I'm Colin O'Keefe. As we continue our ongoing coverage of the Hildebrandt Institute and West Legal Ed Center's social and digital media for law firms forum, I'm here with Roy Ginsburg, partner at Dorsey Whitney, and also author on the Quirky Employment Questions blog. Roy, starting off, you provided some great insight on this, but how can legal bloggers really meet the audience on their own terms in terms of providing content that isn't legalese, but really provides the guidance that they're looking for?
Well, the origin of the blog was that periodically, once a year for the first 6 or 7 years, we were doing an annual employment law seminar, which we called Quirky Employment Questions, where we try to capture about 20 or 25 of the questions that our audience was most interested in, things that we'd seen over the course of the year, questions that were derived from particularly interesting cases, articles that came from the newspapers, and we discovered that really this was the most popular breakfast briefing that we do on an annual basis. So that was the origin of it, and I started the blog about 4.5 years ago, and we try to just address questions that our clients provided to us, that some people who just write to me, send me emails, provide to us. Questions that, again, reflect really the content of particular cases that we pick up from the advance sheets. And again, trying to deal with, as you described it, meeting the interests of the readers on their terms.
Definitely, and you provided some great insight on how to use a blog in less traditional means, not just providing that guidance and not just even writing on your own practice area, but getting outside of those. What are some of the ways that you use your blog in a slightly less traditional way than other legal bloggers?
Well, one of the things we do that I hope readers enjoy is just to make it entertaining, to make it fun. So for example, once a week, or less frequently if people don't give me the answers, I put up an employment trivia question. So for example, name the rock and roll song that referenced the passage of Title VII. And that was one of the first questions we put up. It happens to be Bruce Hornsby and the Range, The Way It Is, which references the fact that they passed a law in '64 to give those that ain't got a little more. So we've put up questions like that. I put up a trivia question every week. No one, by the way, has gotten the question currently posted. And then we send out a prize for those who provide the answer to the question that we pose. But as you touched on in your question, we also try to use the blog in a variety of other ways so that it's not just my writing, it's my colleagues' writing, and I certainly try to accredit anybody else who writes for me. I don't put my byline on something that an associate at the firm provides or writes. I always try and seek contributions from people outside the firm. So guest authors, whether they happen to be experts, whether they happen to be people working in the field, some aspect of law that they can provide guidance and insight into, I'm always welcome to touch on those. We tried to do a leadership series so that we ask either general counsel or C-level executives to provide us their guidance, their insights into the subject of leadership. So a variety of different ways that we try to use the blog as part of an overall marketing strategy, and kind of an integrated strategy in terms of what we're doing in the marketing arena.
And then lastly, this was kind of a side point in the panel that you were just on, but you mentioned the fact that you don't go through the vetting process that I've seen from other law firms in terms of their bloggers when it's, checking competition, making sure that they're not upsetting anyone and that type of thing. Does this lack of a vetting process free you up to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit quicker to respond to things? And then also, basically, have you ever gotten in trouble for blogging before?
Well, let me take your final question first. Fortunately, I'm happy to say that I have never gotten in trouble. No blog post that I've ever put up has ever resulted in anybody even sending in a harsh criticism or threatening legal action or anything of that nature. I do consider myself fortunate in that the firm doesn't insist that somebody else, scrupulously go through word by word and make sure that there's nothing here that could possibly offend anybody. I have a lot of latitude, I have a lot of flexibility, and I'm basically able to write what I want to write. Obviously I try not to abuse that privilege, so if I at any point transgressed, or if I created problems, then perhaps there'd be a different perspective and a different attitude. But knock on wood, so far that's never happened.
Definitely, based on the lawyers I've seen, lawyers are smart people. Generally, that if you're offering up opinions or insight or commentary, normally if it's going to upset anyone, and sometimes if you take out those opinions, you lose some of the value in what you're providing. Well, once again, that was Roy Ginsburg, partner at Dorsey & Whitney. For more of his insight, be sure to check out his blog, Quirky Employment Questions. And of course, for more of our video interviews from West Legal Ed Centers, and the Hildebrandt Institute's Social and Digital Media for Law Firms forum. Check us out at lxbn.lexblog.com. Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much.